I'm the MSc Finance Program Director, and I've been at UCL now for 3 years. Oh, sorry, from the beginning. I've been at UCL now for 3 years, and I've been involved in this program for the last two. I'm an accountant by training. I did my doctorate at LSE, and I was at King's College after that to do my postdoctoral work. And before that, I was an actual accountant. So I'm very happy to be with you today. I just want to introduce Andrea as well, who will be helping support the session for reasons that will become clear soon.
Hello, Dorothy. I'm Dr. Andrea Kaller. In my case, I have a PhD in economics. I've been trained as an economist, and I've joined recently UCL School of Management, and taking over the responsibility of the brand new MSc Finance with Data Science program. Great to be with you.
Great. So this is just an outline of today's session, which looks like a lot of information, but just to kind of give you an idea about some of the things that we'll be covering. I hope that I won't talk for more than half an hour maximum because we're really here to answer your questions as well. So we'll run through some of these slides quite quickly, and we can just kind of take it from there. Right. The first thing I wanted to say to you is that we've had a long-standing MSc Finance program at UCL for some time now. But it's important for you to know that the program was completely redesigned and revamped for this 25-26 entry. So what we had before was an MSc Finance program that was heavily quantitative. We told everyone that this was heavily quantitative, but somehow students, some would appear and say, "Oh, I didn't realize it was as quantitative as it was," and it kind of caused some confusion. So we've decided this year to basically split the program into two much more defined programs with much more focused curriculums in each. So the MSc Finance now is a much more generalist program that's completely aligned with the CFA qualification. It's got the ideal balance between kind of academic foundations and practice, has exceptional CFA coverage, levels 1 and 2, so it's a lot. It's important to say that we're not looking to replicate the CFA in terms of just basically rebadging the CFA qualification as an MSc Finance. It's not that at all. We're teaching more and focusing more on the academic foundations of the CFA topics that they cover, so that in the event that you wish to pursue your CFA, you should be able to get up and running very, very quickly. And these are some of the starting roles in finance that we would envisage this program being well suited for. The MSc Finance in Data Science, which we will talk a little bit more about later, just in case for any of you who might be considering one or the other, that is now very specialist, heavily quants with a huge underpinning in data science. So they're both great programs, they're both demanding programs, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. So these are the entry requirements, which you'll probably have seen on the website as well. Just to kind of give you an idea that we're looking for a minimum 2-1 honors degree. It'd be great if you had a first. We have level 2 language requirements. The GMAT and GRE is not required. However, if you have an excellent GRE quantitative score or a high GMAT quantitative score, then please, by all means, put it in your application because it'll help strengthen it. No requirement for a personal statement. So if there's anything specific you want us to know or anything that you want to communicate, then feel free to submit one, but don't feel you need to labor over this. We will ask instead as well for a CV. So anything that you can set out that you want to highlight for us about your past work experiences or educational. We have your transcript anyway, but anything else that you want to highlight, you can put together in your CV for us. Paulina asked me to talk maybe a little bit about what the ideal candidate looks like. And it's very difficult to answer that question. The program is highly competitive. Since we've revamped it, it's been even more highly competitive. So, we're definitely looking for someone with strong academics, someone with, good foundation in their bachelor's degree. It doesn't have to be in finance. We are looking very, very widely at someone who could thrive in this program. I get applications from people who have taken architecture, for example. So, and it's not, you're not, we look at your application in the round, and by no means would someone with an architecture degree, be thrown out at the first or the first pass in any way, shape, or form. But we are looking for someone with super strong academics, a good background, university, looking for someone obviously that meets all these entry requirements and actually has a strong interest in finance. So these programs are really demanding, and we are looking for students who will absolutely thrive in these programs, and we don't want to kind of, admit students who aren't really sure because we ask a lot of you in the year that you're with us. So just someone, if you can just articulate in your interview for us, or we can see it through your CV and so on, that you actually have a real strong interest in finance, then that would be great. So in terms of the program structure, it's a joint program that we run between the UCL School of Management, that's the business school at UCL, and the UCL Department of Economics. So it's a 12-month program, so be aware of that. It's September to September. So it's not a 10-month program, it's not any shorter than that. So it's a 12-month program, and there's visa restrictions and related with that. So just be aware that we work you quite hard, and in summer months, there's the 3 terms, but in addition to that, there's the summer months where we expect you to be working on your dissertation. You will have a pre-sessional program that hasn't been defined yet. We're just looking at, we'll assess that once we have the cohort in place for 25-26 to see what's most needed. But, maths, accounting, things like that, economics possibly, kind of subjects like that might be offered for you to just kind of brush up. And people have different areas where they need to brush up on, depending on your background. So we'll offer a suite of programs there for people to help brush up on those areas that they need to. Where the program is delivered entirely from the Canary Wharf campus. It's beautiful here. So we have right in the center of the financial district, really close to obviously a lot of institutions here. We have great views on the 50th floor. It gives us access to a lot of industry guest speakers and career events. So, the School of Management, we have a bespoke kind of corporate speaker series that we run as part of this program, where we bring in people from the finance industry to talk about their area of expertise, and also, kind of give hints and tips and advice for our students who are looking to pursue a career in finance. But over and above that, the School of Management also has a number of industry guest speaker series for people to come in. There's basically events almost every day here at Canary Wharf. And then also the program, also this is a big change from previous years. It's a practical finance research project. So we understand a lot of you are out here like looking at this program to secure jobs after this, and majority of you probably not looking to do a PhD in finance. So we've changed the research project this year so that it's a much more industry focused applied project. And it's not a traditional kind of, research dissertation that you may have seen elsewhere. So this is a lot of information here just about the School of Management, Department of Economics, but you'll see that we've had, a nice grounding founding philosophies of UCL being, entire secular university. Is the first university to admit women on equal terms. We rank highly in the QS rankings. And we score, very high, the highest in academic reputation, employer reputation, international research. London's Global University here with 50% of our cohort made up of international students and quite a few Nobel laureates. So we're very proud of UCL and the staff here as well. So we're all very, very proud to be here. And then just some more stats about our research underpinnings and how well we've performed as a school, Department of Economics as well, in our research excellence framework. So our teaching staff is like our faculty here is a real mix between research-oriented colleagues and then those that have experience in practice. So we all work collaboratively together to deliver really the best experience for our students. Work closely with global organizations, governments, the public sector. So we really have you really would have, to hand really the cutting edge research and unparalleled insights from the field right into your classroom. This is just some stats from our our current year cohort. Actually, we have a class size of 152, roughly split between females and males, 43 nationalities, and the average age is 23 years old. So I would say that the majority of our students do come straight from their undergraduate. Some of them may have 1 to 2 years experience. Some of them may be mature students who have 10 to 15 years of experience as well. But I would say the majority do come straight from the undergraduates. It's not to say they don't have any work experience because many of them have done, really great internships and so on. But that just gives you an idea of who your peers might be. Right. In terms of the MSc Finance journey, so we have four core modules in term one: quantitative methods, corporate issuers, fixed income, and financial statement analysis. This is followed on by another two core modules in term two. So this is the academic stuff. It's the scientific foundations of all of these modules and topic areas. Following on from that, then you get to choose four electives, and these are some of the electives. These change, and there's also electives from other programs, but just to give you an idea, some of the elective modules that we would offer. And then following from there, we would say pick two from term two and two from term three, although that's not necessary. You could do three in term two and one in term three. Following on from that, then you would then work on this research project, which would be very much applied. So we would look for students, hopefully, to find an interest in one of these elective modules and then to carry on that and work on an applied project themselves on one of these tracks. And it's very flexible and open. There can be a custom track as well. And for people who want to do research, like, academic research, then there's that option still open to you as well. So very much, the foundations in term one and two, moving on to the applied practice in term two and three. So this is trying to give you this slide here, an idea of the mapping of the CFA topics. So the blue is basically level one topics that are covered within these modules. And then when you see the gray shading, that means there's a proportion of level two. But essentially, this master's will cover all of the finance topics in levels one and level two, apart from financial statement analysis level two. So it's a lot to be covered in 1 year. It's very demanding. We would need you to be able to learn quickly. Some of you will obviously have backgrounds in some of these subjects, and some of you will not. So there'll be strengths and weaknesses kind of, across the board. But it's just to kind of reiterate that it's jam-packed and it's it's demanding and it moves at a fast pace. So in terms of the programs, the MSc Finance and Finance with Data Science, because we're seeing some applications that come through to MSc Finance, but then when we look at the background of candidates, we think that they'd be really well suited for the data science program. So I just wanted to reiterate this point about the program having been divided into two. Like, yes, the Finance with Data Science program is kind of like brand new, but the existing finance program that we've had many elements of the data science program. So I don't want you to not apply to the data science program if you have a heavy quants background, thinking that, oh, it's a brand new program, maybe there's teething issues, or maybe, you're not sure about it, because in reality, the MSc Finance program itself is really also very quite new. So, we have experience. We have faculty. We're all have experience in kind of designing and running programs. So don't be fearful of that. Just choose the program for you that's best suited based on your background and your career aspirations. So these are some of the things that they have in common. Obviously, I've talked about that they're jointly delivered and, that we have leading UCL faculty, demanding programs in different ways. You have full access to the same financial data and all of those things I had talked about a little bit earlier about the Canary Wharf campus and what it can offer you. And Andrea will talk to you a little bit about the data science program now.
Thanks a lot. So if you want to have a quant career, if you like to work in an hedge fund or perhaps in a clearinghouse as a risk manager somewhere else, probably the MSc Finance with data science will be appropriate for you. The blend is very different. It's going to be a blend between financial economics and data science. So we are going to be using coding quite extensively and matching that with various databases that you're probably going to work on, perhaps even right now or in the future, such as Bloomberg terminals. We are building a brand new Bloomberg trading floor lab, which is going to be the double the size that is currently and way ahead of many other business schools. The course will all be data driven. So if you are very much into having decision making done through data and data science, if you would like to work in teams that are multicultural, where you have data scientists or financial engineers, so on and so forth, that is going to be the right master that will provide you the skills, both soft and hard skills, to achieve that. And I'm going to also to very briefly show you what is the plan, the journey of this master. It is a little bit different, and the first term we will have to build up quite strong foundations. So if you notice, there are only 2 compulsory modules in the autumn term because they are double the size of normal modules. So financial, econometrics, data science, corporate finance, and financial markets. They will be delivered for 6 hours per week instead of the classical 3 hours per week. But after that, you get this strong foundation. Then you're starting already to specialize a little bit with another couple of compulsory modules, which are time series analysis and forecasting. For those of you that would like really to become, for example, an equity risk analyst, that probably is going to be pretty cool. But also big data and machine learning is going to be very relevant, especially if you work in an hedge fund or in other corporations. After them, of course, you can choose some optional modules. There is going to be 4 optional modules out of that you have to pick up out of 6. I always find pretty cool behavioral finance and neuroeconomics. I was speaking with a student yesterday. I was writing with the students about that yesterday. But there are many more options. So if you want to work, for example, structured finance, perhaps you are going to go for options and derivatives. At the end of this, of your academic journey, there is a quantitative data-driven research projects. Again, this is taught to increase your employability opportunities. This is something that in job interviews you can easily sell. And there are 2 main tracks, the forecasting tracks and the big data track. Of course, there could be more ad hoc projects, especially if there is a company that suggests the topic. These are very well appreciated and welcome. So that is, in summary, what is the journey of MSc Finance with data science. I can assure you that it's going to be demanding as much as the MSc Finance is going to be, but that's just to increase your opportunities in the job market, to give you skills that are good not only for today's job market, but also in 10 years' time. So we are ambitious as you are.
Great. Thanks, Andrea. So back to the MSc Finance, it's just structured learning, curriculum, resources. So the majority of our modules consist of 10 times 3-hour lectures. They run in 3-hour blocks, so it's not all lecture time. There will be kind of workshop components or kind of the traditional kind of tutorial components to make it a little bit more interactive. For the research project, you won't have traditional dissertation supervision because it's not a traditional dissertation, but you will have very specific briefing sessions to help you maybe define the project and to kind of help you kind of work through the components of that. The assessment is for all our modules, primarily coursework and in-person exams. I would say that that's generally the case for 90%, that there's always a coursework component, usually done in groups, and then there'll be an in-person exam sat here in London. So studying in the heart of London's financial district. So we're here located on level 38 and 50 of One Canada Square. London, we are actually also going through rapid and significant expansion plans at the moment. So we're taking basically another floor every year in the next couple of years and growing really, really quite rapidly. But that's great because it'll just offer our students more space. London's always ranked like the best kind of student city to study for 3 years in a row, but I'm very biased. I love London. So it's a fantastic strategic location right in the middle of the financial center. So there are lots of networking opportunities. And being on the 50th floor, that's kind of like the penthouse floor. So you do get amazing views, which is quite inspiring, I think, to kind of work in that environment. Oh, that's just giving you a little map of where we are. So there's One Canada Square, which you can see. Then we have our Bloomsbury campus, where most of our undergraduate teaching is done, and that's just to kind of give you some perspective. But are we the tallest building in Canary Wharf?
We're the tallest building in Canary Wharf. I believe we're either the second or the third tallest building in the UK after the Shard and potentially something else. But yeah, the third. But where we're allowed to go on floor 50, compared to like the Shard, where the tallest kind of peak, you actually can't go up straight to the top. We actually have the best views that like London has to offer.
Iconic building in London.
Yeah. So once you know what the building is, when you're in London, it's kind of everywhere. You can't escape it.
Oh yeah, there you go. The one with the pyramid at the top. Yeah, so here's just some more pictures, which is nice. More pictures.
Or just out, if you look behind me, this is a virtual background I've added, but it is an accurate representation, a photo taken from level 50. So on a clear day, you get these views.
Okay, then in terms of the environment and resources, so obviously you have access to our leading research faculty. There's also the UCL Center for Finance, which is kind of related to the Department of Economics. You can look at that. Full access to all the financial data that you would need. In April, for example, I'm bringing in 8 or 10 alumni to come talk to our students, our current year students, to talk about how they navigated the job market after graduation. Loads of UCL societies, and you'll automatically join the UCL School of Management Society as well. And then we have a very, very extensive careers and professional development program for you, and it starts even before you join. So there's careers, events, and sessions from basically, I would say, July, August onwards for our incoming cohort. A lot of the jobs and internships and things like that open up for applications kind of for the first term of the master's program. So we give you a head start by kind of starting coaching you through sessions in July and August time. Definitely a dedicated careers team for our finance students. You can have tailored one-on-one coaching sessions. There is this pre-sessional program, which I was just talking about, and then every week there's timetabled career sessions for you. So I always tell students to treat your careers sessions as almost like your 5th module. So you have in term 1, you have nothing scheduled for Wednesdays, and well, no kind of like academic module scheduled for Wednesdays, and we schedule in instead a block for you to develop your own careers. And regardless of what you do afterwards or where you go, if you want to go back home or what you do, I think there's just a wealth of resource for you. And it's really helpful to just have sessions with them to talk about CV support or interview techniques, or we have LinkedIn photo sessions and so on. And it's important just to tell you as well that this support is available to you for 3 years after you graduate as well. And some more tools that we use and have access to help you prepare for interviews and so on. And then these are just some of the graduate roles that we would anticipate our students going on to and that they have gone on to. So if any of these kind of resonate with you, then this would be the program for you. If you're more into the quant side of thing and the data science things, I mean, you can have all of these roles with the data science focus as well. That's the thing. So it just, again, depends on your interest and your background and what you want to really focus on when you're thinking about finance or finance with data science. Some of our employer and alumni events and connections. These are some of the companies that we kind of liaise with and that our students have gone on to work for. So let's just give you an idea. This is just an alumni saying how helpful they found the career service. So that's great. So we do have scholarships and bursaries. We're very well aware that the costs of the programs are very high. So we, as far as I understand, the first 4 scholarships, we automatically kind of put you into them for as soon as you kind of when you apply. And then we have these additional scholarships this year, which are have deadlines. So you might want to scan the QR code to get details of those. And then that's us. So you can keep in touch with all of us. And if you have any questions, you can kind of get in contact with us in many different ways. And then the last thing that we wanted to highlight for you was just that in the coming months, the School of Management is going to be hosting some in-person campus tours. I know many of you are probably not in London, but if you are, then do come by because it's nice to kind of visualize. And if it's nice to visualize where you're going to be and what your working space will be like if you're going to spend a year of your life with us. So do come by. It's a nice place to work. And I think that's it. So got there just on time, 12:30.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Just thank you, Dorothy. That was really,
Yeah.
really informative. The presentation was great. I definitely learn something new every time I feel like I join these sessions. Just to reiterate, yeah, we are running campus tours by popular demand in the next few months. The registration links are currently being organized by the central team, but you can register your interest and kind of just email us and let us know, the student recruitment marketing team, if you are interested, and we'll keep your name kind of in the list of registrants for the day. And then you can always go to our postgraduate study page on the School of Management, and under current events, we'll have the page updated as soon as we have that. As well as you can, just in the previous slide about contacting us, you can also speak to current students from the finance program and from other programs. I'll put in all the links in the chat as we're answering questions. The email address that I've just put in the chat is to the student recruitment marketing team. So that's the way to contact myself and my team about anything student recruitment related, School of Management related, and campus tours, open events, things like that. So yeah, I think we're good to kind of go to questions now. I received quite a few questions through the Q&A widget and through the chat, but if anyone wants to turn their cameras on and turn their mics on and ask a question that way, and maybe put on the kind of emoji to raise your hand, then we'll prioritize those. If not, then I'm happy to go through the ones that I've received.
Hi, can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Please.
sure.
I'm interested in the data science-based program. Before that, should I like do some R programming, work on more Python or Stata or C? Do you think that's recommended, or do you start at a lower level? Because I come from finance and not software engineering, so should I work on it before or?
Thanks, Raphael. This is an excellent question. And as Dorothy mentioned earlier, for both masters, we don't check only your bachelor. Okay, you studied BC Finance, you may have studied BC Economics or Business Management. We get applications from computer science and engineering, as you can imagine. Well, be reassured, we provide professionals over the summertime, which we literally start from scratch. So if you never used Python, Python will be the code language that we are going to mostly use. That will be provided completely from scratch. So from what is Python is really the first thing to bring everybody to the same level. At the same time, we provide also some maths professionals because not all of you have the same maths background. So we want to bring at the first day or the first lecture everybody with the same minimum level. Then, of course, an academic, I will never say never study. I will always say always study. So if you want to really prepare yourself, studying a little bit of linear algebra, economics is always useful, and coding Python is always useful. So I will never say no, but feel reassured that if you are missing some gaps in some of these topics, don't be worried. There will be processionals, and every module leader at the very beginning is going to pair everybody. Okay. Hope that this helps.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Welcome.
I'm Andrea, and I have another question. I don't know if I can go through.
Yeah.
You talk about the GRE, and I know that you mentioned that a score of 162, it's recommended since you can boost up your application. And in case of a score that is slightly lower, like 160, do you reckon it's better not to insert it since it will weaken your application, or you still consider it as a strong GRE, and you would suggest applicants to insert it in both the finance one and the finance for data science program as well? Like if there's a difference in recommendations for the two GRE scores in terms of the programs.
Yeah, so we recommend 162 for the finance and 165 for the data science program. We tend to look at the GRE scores only in the positive for the students. So it's hard to explain. Like we look at it and you have a high GRE score, it kind of bolsters your application. But if it's not as high as that, then we wouldn't disadvantage you from that. So it's hard to, I guess it would be, if you want it to help your application, then I guess having, the minimum level would be better. But equally, if you don't have time to sit it again, then, 160 is not a bad score. So, it's not going to, we're not going to say, oh, the application looks great, but the GRE doesn't meet it, and therefore that, you're out. So we definitely look at everything in the realms. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
It's all right.
Right, I think Alea, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. You've had your hand up for a while.
Yeah, sorry. First of all, thank you so much for the informative presentation. My question is, let's say I am someone who has done an undergrad in a uni in the UK. Do I still need to submit some kind of like English requirement, like an IELTS? So like my IELTS, for example, it expires this year. So would I have to like retake it, or because I've studied in an UK uni, that would be fine?
I'm going to drop a link in the chat to a page which should explain that for you. But the language requirements, where there are queries or you want to clarify exactly whether or not you need to prove anything or document anything, the central admissions team will handle that. I'll post something in the chat now for you.
Right, okay, thank you.
Yes, I'm not sure about that. I was just thinking about that. I wasn't sure. But Jonathan will send you, in the chat, the right information.
It's a really comprehensive page. I'd recommend you wait till after this meeting, otherwise you to read it. Otherwise you won't benefit from the rest of the meeting. But do take a look.
I think that this is a very good question because in the slides we couldn't write everything. So Dorothy showed the IELTS and TOEFL because they are the most common ones, but there are many other ways to get into the English requirements. So thanks a lot, Jonathan, for putting in the chat the link.
Yep, And if it doesn't answer your question, you can always contact the admissions team via a form that you fill out, or you can call them. I'll put the link in the chat as well to them. They're very responsive, and you can get through to them almost immediately, and they can advise you on your circumstance, because they're the experts in this.
I've just dropped that link in, Paulina, thanks.
Amazing. Okay, thank you. Right, if anyone else.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Vardan? Yeah.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for the presentation. I had a question about the undergrad result requirement. So I know you mentioned that you're looking for 2-1. So if like I have like a slightly lower result, like a 59 or a 58, something like that, would like a good GMAT quant score help to make up for it? Or would that just automatically not work because it doesn't meet your eligibility?
So I think some universities or some equivalence rules count 58, 59 as a 2-1. But as a minimum screening, I understand that the General Admissions Office will look for a 2-1 as kind of like the first pass. So it just depends on, I mean, there's equivalence rules, I think, in on the UCL webpage in terms of like what university and what country you're applying from. So just check that. If it passes the 2-1, then absolutely, you know, a high GMAT GRE score will of course bolster that. Like that's why, you know, we have that available to students.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We have Anne. Good.
Yeah, thank you. So just on the topic of eligible grade, my undergraduate degree is actually not graded. So how does that work? I can't really tell you whether I scored 2-1 or.
I'm really sorry, Anne. I can't really hear you. Can anyone else hear Anne? Like,
I'm struggling a little bit. Would you
Yeah.
mind repeating your question? And if we can't hear you, you can type it out and I can read it out.
Thank you.
If that helps.
Yeah. Sorry, I want to type it out. Unless you can hear me better now, I'll type it out.
Okay, great.
Okay. If anyone else has any questions whilst Anne is typing it out, please speak now. Otherwise, there's quite a few questions that I received in the Q&A that I'd want to cover. So please take your opportunity now if you can. Okay. I'll ask a question whilst Anne is typing her question out as well. Oh, there it is. It's in the chat. My undergrad degree is not graded, so I can't tell you whether it's a 2-1 or not. Is that a problem?
I think that the solution has already been provided by Jonathan. He put an hyperlink in the chat on the equivalencies. So for every bachelor and master, UCL provides the equivalence rate, because if I just think to my own countries, it's very different the way that is graded. So Anna, don't be worried. I'm sure that you will find the equivalent rate in the hyperlink provided by Jonathan in the chat. Okay.
And again, if you can't find an answer to the question that you have via some of these links that we're including, please contact the graduate admissions team, or alternatively, you can contact the program team or my team as well in student recruitment, and we can kind of try and source that answer for you or direct you to the correct person and try and find the answer to your question.
Yeah, and I suggest that you maybe contact Paulina afterwards. I've not come across this where an undergrad is not graded at all. I know that I come across undergrads that are graded in various different ways, and we cope with them all, but we would need an assessment of your performance. Like if it's just a pass fail you're saying, then I think that would be difficult.
Yeah, I'll put my work email in there as well as my team one, so you can just contact me straight away and I can try and find the answer for you on that.
Great. Okay, any other questions?
If there's no questions, I'm happy to run through some of the ones that I received during the presentation. There was some that kind of we can group together into one question, so I'll kind of do that. But one question we had is there a CV review service for the MSc program suitability by looking at the undergrad background and work experience? I don't believe there is, but I may be wrong.
No, there's not. Yeah, we don't pre-review admissions, I guess,
No.
if that's the question. You know, you have your one shot to kind of put your best foot forward, and
If I can provide some advices, perhaps try to write your CV in a clean manner, not to be messy and so on and so forth, where your past experience, activities, and location are well understandable. Sometimes writing less is better than writing more, maybe more informative, depending on your career stage. For example, if you are finishing your bachelor, generally you will write a one-page CV, perhaps 1.5, something like this, unless you really have many past activities, internships, or extracurricular activities such as volunteering and so on and so forth. And then there will be much more material because we also have the transcripts. If you write a personal statement, there will be that. There will be referees writing a letter for you. So don't be too much worried about your CV. Just make sure that it's readable, clear, and looks professional. Okay.
yeah, and that has been proofread. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, thank you. Sahil, I can see that you have your hand up, but just because we were speaking about personal statements, a question I received was, when you say on the prospectus for personal statements, if you wish to communicate specific information to the admissions committee, what kind of information do you mean? Is there something specifically I should include or things I should omit?
So generally, if I can reply to this question, personal statements or cover letters, they are written to try to show first what are your career prospects, how much you well match with the school in this case, and how much the school matches well with you and your future career prospects. You may write something about your personal experience and how it links well with the school and so on and so forth. I will not write something too long. Again, being concise is a virtue, it's not a vice. So make sure, as Dorothy mentioned before, that everything is well understandable and readable. Also, the grammar is correct.
Sometimes students may have extenuating circumstances that they want us to know about that would have affected their, grades for a particular term or something like that. Like, if there's anything at all you want us to know, then that's your forum to do that in. Yeah. Okay. Should we go to Sahil?
Thank you. Thanks for the talk so far as well. I had a question about bursaries and scholarships, if you can help me with that. So I'm looking to apply for a few. Am I able to apply to multiple? And is it possible to kind of receive kind of the bursaries if, successful for multiple? And also, are the deadlines on a rolling basis? So is it possible to receive an outcome before the deadlines?
Paulina, do you know this one?
Yeah, so I can answer. In terms of the finance scholarships, I believe that you can have them in kind of conjunction with other scholarships and funding. We have recently been awarded by the school, this program and other programs, more scholarship funding. We've had around 300 to 400,000 allocated for scholarships, and we're currently working to decide how we're going to kind of hand them out and split them out in terms of percentages and things like that. In terms of a rolling basis, I believe because you don't have to apply for them separately, what Dorothy or Andrea kind of decide who and the program team decide who is allocated a scholarship, you would have them on a rolling basis. So it kind of is in line with your application outcome. So I think that answers all of your questions. Is there anything that I missed out?
No, that was great. Thanks. I
that?
just had a quick
Okay.
follow-up though, actually, in relation to that. So what's the timeline of acceptance from, let's say, your application, you've gone through the whole process. When would we know kind of when we'd get an offer? And also, how long do we have to accept the offer?
So that actually links with a question that I had in my list from the Q&A about and this is one for the program team, do they accept on a rolling basis, and what's the kind of timeline for applicants?
So I think we say that it's 12 weeks. So that's kind of like the maximum that we try to work towards, where from the time that you submit your complete application, press send, ready to go, then it kind of goes through the system. And if you get passed through kind of the initial checks, then it goes back to you to do an interview on our Kira platform and so on. Once that interview is done, then it comes to the admissions committee. So, you know, it's usually, to be honest, like we try to do it much less than 12 weeks, but we just say 12 weeks just in case anything happens and so on. So I would say somewhere between 8 and 12 weeks, you should be able to, you should have an outcome.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Great. I had another question that said, what should I expect from the online interview and how best to prepare? I don't believe we can tell you exactly kind of the questions that are asked, but maybe if we could discuss like the structure or things to prepare beforehand, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I mean the key thing that we're looking for in an online interview is just to get to know who you are and to see how, you know, to understand your motivations, to understand you know, you have a chance to like introduce yourself and to understand your motivations and to see if you can, how well you can think on your feet in terms of the questions that we ask you. It doesn't take very long. It's only a couple of questions that we ask for a video interview, and then we have some written questions as well. So it's not very taxing, and by no means is the interview like make or break. So nothing really is make or break, apart from possibly the 2-1 requirement. So you get to run through like a couple of practice questions first beforehand before you press go, and you get invited to the interview, and usually you have a week to complete it.
I think this is just a big advantage for you because there are some things that you may not have been able to put in your personal statement, in your CV, or somewhat doesn't arise. And the Kira platform and the question that we're going to ask will give you the chance to let us know a little bit more about you, your soft skills, and so on and so forth. So don't take it as a bad thing, but I would say it's just a good thing that there is this additional step.
Great. Sorry. Right. So another question that we just received, it was mentioned that the research project could be a custom track. Does this include summer internships, or what kind of examples of previous research projects have there been? I know that might be a tricky question to answer because we've rejigged the 2 programs, but
yeah, I mean, we really want, yeah, exactly. So the project has completely changed from how it's been in previous years. I've said, like from previous years, we've done a traditional research dissertation, but we realize that a lot of our students don't have aspirations to go into research, well, academic research, and are looking instead to do a job. Our program, because it's 12 months, doesn't lend itself easily for you to do an internship per se in the summer months. Like we expect you to be working on the project. So we want the project to be, you know, something that you'd be able to speak about on your CV. When we say custom, I mean, we really want, when we say custom track, it's really an avenue for us to let you, give you the space to do something that you're really interested in, that you would like to explore more. There is an opportunity within that to do an applied project at a business. So if you can source any company who'd be willing to kind of, and we also source a few of these for our students each year as well. where you can work with a business and they have, you know, some kind of, I always say business non-critical, just in case, project where they can give you some data for you to work with a specific objective, then that's always a win-win, because that's almost like an internship, but you know, you can submit it as part of your project, your applied project, and it doesn't kind of contravene any visa rules and so on. So it's very, I would say that we don't ever say no. You know, so we help you, if you come up with an idea, we help you formulate it so it meets the requirements, and we work with you in order to meet the requirements, but it's really up to you, like whatever you feel that draws on your academics and the modules that we've taught you, something that, so I'm sure a lot of people will value a company. You know, that's that's going to be a typical project, right? Like how, you know, just pick a company and do your own valuation models on it and so on. Last year we had, you know, a fintech kind of startup that wanted to gather some. It was actually an African company working with, I think, African farmers looking to, I think, get access to financing. So there was like a research project there to kind of understand the needs and to build a model that will work for them. So it can be, it's so wide. It's really hard to define typical specific modules. All I would say is that take it as a positive. We would hope that within the 2 terms you're with us, that you would develop an interest in a specific area. I mean, I'm sure all of you have interest already in specific areas. And then it's just for us to help you formulate a project around that. Okay.
Great, thank you. Another question we received was which part of the terms the exams take place? I believe that depends on the modules, right?
No, in term 1, so it's quite brutal, I have to say. You get 10 weeks of teaching. You start in, say, end of September, say, you get like a week in induction. Already in induction week, we would probably start your teaching for a couple of modules to get you going. And I'll tell you why, exactly for this reason, because the way that the postgraduate scheduling works at the School of Management, and I think even UCL more widely, is that you have 10 weeks of consecutive teaching, no reading week, although week 10 should be review week, no more new material. And then the following week is your exams. So that's the way it works for terms 1 and terms 2. In term 3, you have only 2 modules that you normally take in term 3, and we double deliver that so that you cover 6 hours of material per module in each week, so that you finish that in 5 weeks instead, followed by exams straight away. And then you have time to kind of work on your project. So it is quite brutal. So what we've done is that we've tried to find a little bit of wiggle room. So if you keep in mind that on Wednesdays there's no scheduled teaching, Thursdays and Fridays, your 2 modules there, we've kind of front loaded by pushing them into the Thursday and Friday of induction week, so that when you get to week 10, you'll get the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off to kind of prepare for your exams. So yeah, it's a good question, because obviously you need to be here in London to sit the exams.
That is for the final exam. On the contrary, for coursework, it really depends module by module, and we try to avoid as much as possible overlappings in that. But clearly, in some cases, there could be.
Great, thank you. Another question, which I'll cover another few questions, so we may potentially overrun by a few minutes, which I hope is okay. So will there be a test of any sorts for mathematical quantitative knowledge before or after the interview? No. I believe that.
No,
Yeah.
we make the assessment based on your application. So there will be no test. What we've done in the past, and the data science program might do this as well, is that we give you a math pre-sessional and then do a little test probably in induction week, just to make sure that you're up to scratch, and just to highlight for you the areas that, you know, you may need to revise a little bit more. But that's, nothing hinges on that. That's just, you know, it's for discovery purposes. only. So there's no further tests as part of the admission process to get into the program.
Great. And then another question, what kind of work experience are you looking for, if any? What would constitute would it be the right industry? Would it be the right kind of area? Or are there some transferable skills that they can move over?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, Andrea, you go ahead.
So we are aware that many students come directly from the bachelor. So my prior is that you may even have zero working experience. There are multiple types of working experience. Of course, some of you want to do an experience perhaps with a finance company. Others would be even just in a grocery or other types of experiences. All these experiences are equally good because they will give you certain types of transferable skills. Some, for example, in a grocery could be more related to communication skills. Others in a financial company perhaps will be more something analytical. Personally, I don't have any prior on the type, or even if you had a working experience before. Of course, having an internship or even a virtual event, some students go for with virtual events, they can help, but they are not something that I consider to be strictly relevant or needed for a winning application. Because as Dorothy mentioned quite a few times now, we consider the whole application under many aspects. I don't know, Dorothy, if you want to add anything.
No, that's what I was going to say. Perfect.
So this may be something that we can't quite answer yet because, again, we've restructured the programs, but are past paper revision questions available for the exams?
Well,
or maybe what support would be available, I guess, is per.
Yeah, every module leader will prepare you for the exam in whatever way they see deem fit. So some will give you a sample paper, some will give you past papers, but given that both of these programs are really quite new with all the modules redesigned, there won't be any official past papers available, but they will give you, I would say again, very minimum sample papers that follow the same structure, type of difficulty, types of questions that you would say. What I would say is that a lot of the tutorial seminar type questions are all designed to prepare you for the exam. So they're already in kind of exam style format. We also want to stress that when you study at postgraduate level, it's really not just about it's not just about studying for the exam. Like we really want you to be studying, at a conceptual level, making linkages across, across like concepts, do you understand the concept? We're not training you to solve the same questions at speed. We're training you to be able to apply concepts to be able to solve different problems. So I always get slightly worried for students who are kind of fixated on doing every single past paper there is available. So so that's gonna make me feel secure. I think, maybe in some undergrad courses that work, but at postgraduate level, certainly here it's not what we're designing the exam to help you with. Of course, we will give you past questions, and of course, we will give you the structure of the exam. Of course, like all of that will give you enough to prepare, but there's a bit of like letting go of that as the only means of kind of studying.
May I add something? Every master tries to help you enhance your critical thinking skills. We live in a world that is super complex, ever evolving. You will probably be changing multiple times your jobs. Perhaps your job is going to be destroyed by artificial intelligence. We are not machines. The difference is that we are able to think. And you will be trained and challenged quite a lot on that. In that sense, please be reassured that our teachers are all very much dedicated and passionate about their modules and their students that they teach. Just think about to all the program administrators that joined us online, Jonathan, Sevi, and Emily. This is really how we believe the university should be. We are like a community. There will be, I read a question about the mentoring scheme. Yes, we have. And because we love to be in touch with current students, future students, alumni, and we all go towards the same direction, which is enabling you to get your dream job eventually. But to get to the dream job, you need to be well equipped, first of all, with your critical thinking, and then also with hard skills and soft skills. So if I have to tell you, that exam could be useful up to a certain point, because you will never get the same exam.
Great, thank you. Another question. For the finance electives, Dorothy mentioned taking electives from other programs. Can you please expand on that point?
Oh, we have like 4 or 5 electives, maybe 6, that are kind of run out of, say, the Masters in Management program. So those are open to our students as well to take. So we haven't finalized these yet, so I don't really want to kind of say too much about it. Maybe Jonathan can kind of give some examples. There's strategy.
Yeah, there are 4
Yeah.
for next year. The content we're currently in our sort of curriculum data management update. So in response to questions we've had about module data as well, we're hoping to provide something interim that we can say is a sort of indicative guide to module content, with all the caveats that things may change slightly. But the electives that sit outside our catalog are data visualization, strategic project management, influence and negotiations, and retail and consumer entrepreneurship. So they come from the management program, the entrepreneurship program. We only allow you to take one of those. So the modules are grouped such that you could only take one, so that you have a sufficient amount of finance content. But we will be updating some information on the webpage, hopefully to give you a little bit more information on that soon, as we're in this transition phase. The module catalog at the moment, and I realize it's a bit confusing from the prospectus page, the links to the module catalog, it doesn't look like the module titles and codes tally up, and that's because the module catalog is currently published for the ongoing year of delivery, and some of the module codes on our program, we're retaining the module codes but changing the module name, so that's why it might be a bit confusing. As I say, we're hoping to publish something to clarify some of that confusion and provide a little bit more indicative information on module content for next year.
As Paulina mentioned multiple times, feel free to reach us out if you have any doubts on, let's say, in the core content. We are more than pleased to reply to your queries.
Right. Yeah. This is going to be the final question, and if anyone has anything that they've kind of come up with as we've been speaking about things, or we've missed something in our explanations, please do kind of use this opportunity before we finish. But a final question I received was, I may have missed this at the start of the presentation, but what do the pre-sessional courses cover, and are they compulsory?
So actually, we haven't finalized them for the new 25-26 MSc, because it's going to be based on what our students need. So typical pre-sessionals that we've had in the past have been math, statistics, economics, accounting. So we have, accounting is a great example. We have some students who have done a BSc in accounting and finance, and other students who have come doing zero accounting. So that's a big leap. So we try to kind of give pre-sessional material so that students can kind of study what they need to in the summer before joining, so that they can at least kind of bridge the gap for those subject areas that they need to. So they haven't been finalized yet, but we'll make that assessment and send that out in due course. It's hard to, it's not compulsory in the sense that nothing hinges on it, but they're highly recommended for you to work through, so that you can, when you start the actual program, you can hit the ground running and you're not far behind. Because as I say, the program runs quickly and it runs 10 weeks in a row. It's not, I think in a lot of undergraduate programs, you have a 1-week reading week, in week 5, you have a breather after 5 weeks, right? You can catch up on a couple of lectures you've missed and so on. Postgrad level is incredibly intense, and it's just 10 weeks straight. So we just want to make sure that everyone starts off at like the right footing. And so it's only in your best interest to engage with the materials that you need to.
Well, in the past, we made some analysis on those that were accepting to go for this optional professionals, eventually they also on average perform better. So I think it's a very good idea. I would say strongly recommended, although it's not mandatory. It's just for your best interest. Okay, take all the opportunities you have. This year is going to rush away super quickly. So the more you can get, the better it is for you.
Amazing, thank you. That's all of the questions that we have. We've run over a tiny bit, but that's a good thing because everyone's been super engaged and I think we've had a really great presentation. So thank you to the team for running through it and answering all the questions. I hope it was helpful for everyone who's joined us. And yeah, I think we can end there. Thank you so much for joining our session today. And hopefully we'll see some of your faces in the new year.
Great.
New
Lovely
academic
to meet
year.
you all. Thank you. Good
so
luck.
much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.